wrap up with a Star Tribune article that is saying that the congressional delegation, Tom Emmer and Michelle Fischbach, Pete Stauber, and Brad Finstad were no-showing the Reagan-Lincoln dinner for the Republican Party. So all of the details surrounding that, give you guys all the info. I see that we already got Tucker 91, Truth Wins in MN, Carol Hexam, Crucified 1993, Pamela K. Jones, all in the comments section. So nice to see all of you guys. If you want to interrupt, make sure to drop a Rumble rant, and we will jump right to that topic.
Thank you for running the dials, Dawson. Appreciate it very much. Mr. Deep State himself, always behind the dials, making the show work. This show is brought to you by Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. Keller Williams. Yeah. What is wrong with me? I'm so off on the start today. Keller Williams Realty. His name's Warren Wessel. Give Warren a call at 612-419-7453. If you're buying a home, go to the good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company. You can go to johngaltmortgage.com or check them out on Facebook or X. And we're also brought to you by Alpine Cabtree in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I think what's going on with my intro today and why I'm fumbling it so badly is I just really want to get into the crux of the matter here.
Yeah.
And you got to do that stuff. That's part of running a show. But I'm very excited. Honestly, Jesse, on Saturday when I got this email from Alex Plechash, the chairman of the Republican Party of Minnesota, I guess I was a little pissed off at it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, who the hell is this guy to say something like that? Come out against Action for Liberty after a board member at Action for Liberty literally bought a table at their event, and we talked about this on the show. $180 for a dinner, not a big name. It's like I couldn't even be bothered to go to something like that. Now they actually did well. It looked like there was 450 people, so that's impressive. I don't know. I'm a little shocked by it, to be honest with you. But like one of our board members bought a table, $5,000 table at this event, and then they slam Action for Liberty, and they slam it with like a lie. But the more important thing is, and we're going to get into this. We're going to talk about Alex Plechash, who was invited on this show, just so you guys know. These guys never do it, right?
He wants to put out those statements on X, on Twitter, on social media over email, but when he has a chance to be able to talk about it face-to-face, he doesn't take that opportunity.
Well, the one thing that they can't say about us is that we just post and ghost and don't engage. Like, we won't engage in long Facebook. I mean, that's a waste of time. Come on the show. Debate us live. I don't care. Put us on the Lincoln Reagan dinner debate stage. I don't care where it is. I'll debate you anytime. Let's talk about it. If we're wrong, if we're liars, expose us. But guess what? They never do because they know we're right. You got something, Dawson?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was it that Plechash said? Or is that something we're going to get into? Because I don't know.
We'll get into it in the second segment. Yeah, you weren't part of the pre-show.
Okay.
But, it's like that pales in comparison to what just happened at the Capitol. So let's get into this. You got a great article on actionforliberty.com. Mm-hmm. Jesse, they actually funded abortion again at the Capitol with Republican support. Let's hear the article.
Yeah, Dawson, go ahead and pull up the A1. And House rhinos voted for abortion funding. MNGOP Chair Alex Plechash is lying to cover for them. So all state House Democrats except one and 29 rhinos just voted to spend your taxpayer dollars on abortion funding. No clearer standard could ever be established for which Republican legislators are rhinos than supporting taxpayer-funded abortions. Despite Republicans holding the gavel and enough votes to block any and all legislation, rhinos have always dropped the ball and work with big government Democrats. See vote below.
Okay, Dawson, why don't you pull up the A3? That's the graphic I sent you. So it's just easier than looking at that. And that has Democrats. There's only one Democrat that voted against it. It was Tina Liebling, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, all Democrats voted for that. So this is the vote of just the Republican legislators. Paul Novotny, absent, correct? So
I don't know. Well, he was actually present on the floor, so I don't know why he didn't vote on the bill. I don't know. Maybe he left the floor. Maybe he was excused. Maybe it wasn't. I don't want to say. But he did not vote on the legislation either which way.
Okay, so here are the votes. If they voted for this legislation, and these are just the Republicans here, what they did is they voted for a lot of bad things, and Justice could get into it, but they definitely voted to use taxpayer money to fund abortions. It's through something called the Medical Assistance Program. If they voted against it, which was a good vote, then, and that could be for a multitude of reasons. It might not just be because of the abortion provision. It could be something else. Now, you see right there are far more Republicans that voted against the bill that voted for it. So you got to ask the question. Why is what's her name? Demuth. Yeah. Why is Lisa Demuth, the Speaker of the House, pushing forward a bill that has majority Democrat support but not majority Republican support? I thought this whole great win for the Republicans at the beginning of session was we got a Republican speaker.
Right.
The Republican speaker's clearly pushing forward a bill that as a Democrat bill.
Right.
The Republicans aren't supporting it.
Right. The win was supposed to be that you cannot bring a vote onto the floor without the support of the Republican caucus. And obviously that is not the case because the majority of the Republican representatives vote against it. Lisa Demuth is totally dropping the ball. This was a discussion about Mike Johnson in the U.S. House when he was bringing forward votes that did not have the support of the majority of his caucus, but he was having to rely on Democrats to be able to get it passed. That's exactly what happened here. Lisa Demuth was reliant on the Democrats to be able to get this abortion funding all the way through across the finish line. So her and these other 28 rhinos decided to side with Democrats rather than fighting the abortion and Planned Parenthood funding.
Okay, now bring that graphic up once more. In the title of this show, Glimmer of Hope from GOP Legislators. So I do want to stress that there were 37, is that right? 37 Republican legislators?
38.
38 Republican legislators that took the right vote here, including
Or
Wednesday
maybe
Walter.
Maybe it is 37, actually. I'll do the math real quick. But yeah, because
No,
with Novotny, I got to do the math real quick.
Okay. So it's worth noting here that you've got Wednesday Walter actually took the right vote. We didn't think he was going to. Apparently we got some intel that he was a definite yes vote coming out of caucus, and then he voted no. Drew Roach, been on the show before. Other notable ones, and this is probably the most notable one, Jim Nash, who's the whip. He's the GOP whip. His job should be whipping votes for the speaker. But he not only is he bad at his job, I guess he didn't care about his job because he voted against the bill as well. So this is like a little glimmer of hope for us because we actually had a majority of Republicans voting against it, and I don't know if I've seen this before. Go ahead, let's get through that.
Yeah, we got a $5 Rumble from O'Bannon says Wednesday Walter is going to be hard at it, apologizing for his new friends, and the Republicans. One of the excuses that I've seen for the support is just that of course it funds all different kinds of it funds 3 different departments of government. We'll get into it in all of the article, but yeah, the excuses are flowing with these Republicans. You should hear some of the things that some of these people are saying. I was notified by one person who reached out to Representative Bernie Perryman, who people may remember she was speaking at the Trump rally in St. Cloud. People may remember Bernie Perryman went up there. But what is she telling constituents now? She's telling people that the bill that funded Planned Parenthood and abortion is pro-life. Mm-hmm. She says that she voted for a pro-life bill. So you're right that Walter and these other people are going to be making excuses for all of the rhinos that voted for this. They're going to claim that the court forces them and whatnot, but we'll get into the details there because that is a blatant lie.
S. Dutton 89 says, wait, you mean Walter was all for it and supporting it, but then flipped when he realized he was on the wrong side of the vote among Republicans? No way.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Right. And, but to the earlier point that, if you're bringing a bill without the support of your, without the whip and without the support of your caucus, I mean, that is grounds right there for removal in my mind because Lisa Demuth is bringing up votes that are, for the Democrats more than it's for the Republicans. What's the point of having a speaker? What's the point of having a 67-person voting block if you're just going to be doing the exact same things as the Democrats? So let's go ahead and get back to
once again, we take such a negative tone all the time, and that's because we're dealing with politics and you're dealing with a bunch of liars. But once again, A3 graphic, it is something to be noted because I like to, sometimes note when good things are happening. But the people in blue there, and if you see your legislator there or someone they did take the right vote. Now, it could have been a bunch of different reasons. Actually, Novotny's name is on that. Did I screw that up?
Yeah.
Oh, I screwed that. I had to do that manually. Why did I do that?
Yeah, I don't know, but
it is.
Okay,
so Novotny,
it is 37.
Yeah,
it is 37 that voted against it, right?
Yeah. Okay. My bad on that one. Well, you guys, if you were in Novotny's district, you can ask him how he would have voted. Jeez, I can't believe I screwed that up. We were going. I had Jesse read them to me, and then I was entering them on it because yeah. Long story short.
And we were kind of debating before the show, even over the title, because I was saying, is there a glimmer of hope? We're talking about people like Jim Nash and Walter Hudson. Sure, they voted the right way, but we have to remember that. What are these Republicans actually going to be doing because of this? Are they going to be holding Lisa Demuth accountable for bringing this vote without the support of the Republican caucus? They certainly should, but it's going to take some action. And I think, like I said, I think it's grounds for removal based on the fact that she did that. And it is very interesting. I can't think of another example where
that's a glimmer. That's what the glimmer is all about. You say,
right.
I don't know if there's hope. There's a glimmer of hope, right?
Maybe.
And it came from people reaching out to their legislators. You know how many messages you got? Even people came into the show, but Action for Liberty was getting as well, saying that this is what their legislators talking about. I mean, my God, sorry to cut you off here, but A2, this was Action for Liberty posted this. Isaac Schultz was texting some of his constituents, Representative Isaac Schultz, up in, what would be the heart of his district? Yeah, I know, but what's the heart of his district?
Maybe he's 10B.
It's just south of Little Falls, essentially. South and east, right? This is the budget bill. Oh, it says, giving you a heads up that later today, the House Health Budget Bill is on the floor of the House, HF 2435. This is the budget bill which funds programs which result in abortion. I am voting no on this bill today because of this component. Well, that's good. That's good to hear Isaac Schultz do that. He's taking the right vote for the right reasons, right? And there's actually a lot of other reasons to vote against it. But that one, certainly, if it funds abortion, you should vote against it. We do have a Rumble Rant, and then get back to where you were going with that.
Yeah, so we got Brad Ganser with a $5 Rumble Rant. He says, we need a party and platform that holds these weak and shameless politicians to account. Meanwhile, the MNGOP is touting the success of a fundraiser that will allow them to make payroll next month. That's a good point that, the focus should be on, the fundraising will come naturally if they actually represented the conservative interest, because then conservatives across our state would be happy to support the MNGOP. So that's a good point. And
so would we.
And exactly. Right. We'd be all supportive of anyone pushing freedom. And, it is very interesting, as you were saying earlier, that I can't think of an example either where, like Melissa Hortman, radical left Melissa Hortman, did she ever push a bill on the floor that did not have the majority support of the Democrats? They always vote as a bloc, so they're almost always unanimously voting together. So for Lisa Demuth to go against the majority of her caucus is insane and, like you said, very unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially means she's carrying the water for the Democrats. How else? I mean, Dawson, you don't get into this stuff too much, but I mean, how else do you look at it? If she's carrying a bill that has not a majority support of her caucus, she's carrying the water for the Democrats.
And it didn't
who
even
supported it 98% or whatever it is.
Right, and it didn't even have a Republican author on it. Some of these omnibus bills have Republican authors. Republicans didn't even have the influence on this one. This was a completely Democrat bill, and they pushed it through anyway.
The reading that I get from all that is that the Democrats sitting out of working on Congress for this deal to get Demuth in power was like a really good deal for them. I don't know.
Such a good deal. I mean, we're winning.
Well, exactly.
Are you sick of winning yet?
Well, the Democrats got everything they wanted out of it, so that's a good point. And, another thing before I forget about what Bernie Perryman had said, she had also said that omnibus bills are unconstitutional and illegal. So she's admitting that she voted for something unconstitutional and illegal. So let's go ahead and go back to the article. Dawson, the full debate on this bill on the House floor can be seen. I link that in there. The bill HF 2435 funds the state's health, DCYF, which is the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, and the Human Services Departments, and funds an ungodly amount of programs and grants. Between the lines of all the regulations, policy, and billions in spending within the 263-page monstrosity is abortion funding under the guise of medical assistance. It is difficult to calculate how much is directed to Planned Parenthood and abortion from medical assistance, but they are undoubtedly funded through it. This bill also funded Sexual and Reproductive Health Services, SHRS, program, which funds Planned Parenthood. And the SHRS program was funded to the tune of almost $23 million in this budget. So as you can see there, when you total those two numbers up, It brings you almost to $23 million. According to the grantees and awards...
Don't the Democrats talk about getting the government out of the medical room and getting out of the doctor's office? And here they are, trying to fund a program on reproductive health. Like, how about you just get out of that? Like, that's the one thing that they shouldn't get involved in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, abortion's a different example because it's not. It's anti-reproductive health, actually. It's funny how they say reproductive rights on abortion is like, no, it's literally you're killing the reproductive ability.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry.
And according to the grantees and awards PDFs on the SRHS webpage, Dawson, go ahead and pull up the article because I want to pull up that webpage so people can see. So go ahead and click on that link there. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit more, and the grantees and awards PDFs there so people can see that. Those are where I was pulling some of these screenshots from. So if people want to check it out for themselves, that is the place to be able to do so. So go ahead and bring it back to the article.
This is on actionforliberty.com, correct?
Right.
News
Yep.
site. Okay.
Yep. So people can find that there, right where it says the grantees and awards PDFs on the SRHS webpage. Planned Parenthood will receive over $10.7 million across 5 years for sexual and reproductive grants. Planned Parenthood will also receive over $7.3 million in family planning awards in the 8 state regions across 5 years. So as you can see, the first one that shows the sexual and reproductive grants, which totals over $10 million. Then if you scroll down a little bit more, you see the family planning grants, and I've highlighted each example where Planned Parenthood is in all of these different budgets. As you can see, that totals to over $7.3 million. We got another $5 Rumble Rant from Brad Ganser. He says, "This just tells me that Republicans are ripe to fall for another pandemic scam. No wonder they are against the Never Again bill." That's a good point. The Republicans are, funding things to the tune that the Democrats would have if the Democrats had a majority otherwise. So
we're on fire with these Rumble Rants today. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Must be over the target.
Yep. And the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, called TANF, that program also gave $2.3 million in SRHS grants. The TANF money for these grants was a continuation from the 2023 spending bill. So Dawson, go back to the article and go ahead and click 2023 spending bill. Because I want to show people that these numbers are the exact same from 2023 to this time in 2025. Now, please Control F and look up TANF. And go ahead and, go down a little bit. Let's see. Keep going. How many are there, Dawson? I can't see it on the screen.
65.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I want people to see this, though. And that's, of course, this is proof that
Are you looking at appropriations?
okay, and we're getting in the right area, so stop there and just start scrolling. Because now we're looking into the appropriations. Scroll a little bit more. We're in the right area. And hold on. Go back up.
In before Brad Ganser
I should have prepared this beforehand.
Post plan.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it, Brad.
Yeah. Where is it, Brad?
Scroll up a little
This is
more,
what
Dawson.
show planning's for.
Uh,
Our show prep.
Okay, whatever. It's in there somewhere. I'll find it.
Great TV.
I'll find it once we move on to the next thing, and then we'll bring it back up so people can see. But the exact same numbers from 2023 to 2025 when it comes to this TANF funding for the group for this SRHS grants that go to fund Planned Parenthood, which is $1.156 million for 2026 and 2027. So people can see that is a couple $1 million. And like I said, that was going on in 2023 as well. So one might wonder how many amendments Republicans pushed on the State House floor to remove the funding for Planned Parenthood. The answer is a staggering 0. GOP party leadership, like Empty Suit, Lisa, Kamala, Demuth, clearly did not want Rhino members exposed with an up or down vote on the singular topic of Planned Parenthood/abortion funding. Instead, Republicans advocated for more taxpayer spending for pregnancy centers, which is not the role of government and is simply throwing more tax money in another direction. Demuth has officially brought a vote before the body where the majority of GOP representatives voted no. This means that Demuth is not only working against the interests of the conservative grassroots, but also the interests of the GOP caucus. A speaker should never bring a vote without the majority support of the party membership which elected them. Demuth has failed and pushed a big government, liberal, unconstitutional, pro-abortion agenda. GOP representatives may begin to look at replacement options beyond abortion and Planned Parenthood
Okay,
funding.
let's stop right there. So I want
Yep.
this is really good reporting, Jesse. Now we've been looking at the HHS Omnibus bill for years and discussing how it funds abortion. You went in, and I would just to say that Planned Parenthood, being the largest provider of abortion services in Minnesota, was getting it through the medical assistance program. You end up finding other ways that Planned Parenthood is getting funding through this bill that they're supporting. And what's really fascinating about this is, Planned Parenthood objectively is like a Democrat front. It's not like some neutral, non-political, service-only organization. They are in the tank for the Democrat Party and the woke liberal mind virus. No doubt. No one's questioning that. And to the point where I don't think they ever endorse or support Republicans. Now, I know that's a different pot of money when they get involved in politics, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you didn't have all this free money from the taxpayer over here and you still wanted to keep up with these services, you wouldn't have more money to spend on the politics. And it's the same leadership, right? It's the same people pushing this stuff, the services and the political part of it. So essentially, you shouldn't be funding your enemies. It's this whole USAID thing. It's like, why go after USAID? Because you're funding the woke liberal zombie mind virus. It's like a really bad thing, and it should be defunded. And here they are funding it, and that's really good work, Jesse.
I appreciate it. And Dawson, go ahead and go back to the article and then scroll up just a little bit, because I found in the 2023 bill what I was looking for. So go ahead and go back to the 2023 spending bill. And Dawson, go ahead and do the Control F, TANF, and this time we are going to be going down to the 46th TANF. So just go and hit that button 46 times, and we'll get on down there. And people will see, as it's listed in here.
I can't highlight that.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy.
So it says
It's over here.
$1,156,000 in the fiscal year 2024 and $1,156,000 in the fiscal year 2025 are from the TANF funds for sexual and reproductive health services grants under Minnesota statute, yada, yada, yada. Go ahead and go back to the article. Just remember that number, $1,156,000. Well, look at what they're funding it again this year. So apparently, whether it's a Democrat trifecta or if the Republicans control the House, it is going to be the exact same result either which way. So the TANF funding is obviously still going to these groups that fund Planned Parenthood. But beyond abortion and Planned Parenthood funding, this bill is also in clear violation of Article 4, Section 17 of the Minnesota Constitution, which limits a bill to a single subject, and this bill is in violation of the MNGOP platform, which opposes omnibus spending bills. As a policy and appropriations bill for 3 different government departments, this is obviously multi-subject and a corrupt way to fund government. Due to our fight against taxpayer funding to kill unborn babies, Action for Liberty is again a target of the MNGOP leadership. A4L President Eric Mortensen sent an email out about medical assistance funding in the Human Services Omnibus Bill, HF 2434, and he presumed funded abortion, as the program does. Rhino Jim Nash even admitted on the floor that the program funds abortion. As we've also shown, Isaac Schultz has said that as well. That aside, there is no reasonable doubt that the bill that it passed today, 5/12/25, so the bill that passed yesterday, 100% contains abortion and Planned Parenthood funding. MNGOP Chair Alex Plechash took a desperate
Okay,
swing.
let's stop there. Let's play this video. This is Jim Nash on the House floor yesterday. Now, Jim Nash is the, do we call him Majority Whip anymore? I guess it's not technically Majority Whip, though he's the whip of the party that is a speaker. So, for all intents and purposes, a Majority Whip. Here he is. Click on this link here. I think it goes to a YouTube video, Dawson.
Which one?
It says, there's 2 different links here. Rhino Jim Nash even admitted on the floor that the program funds abortion.
Yeah.
So this is him addressing this issue, which, and you're going to hear Jesse talk about. Alex Plechash says it's not true.
Hold on a second. Do you have the number?
What's that?
Do you have the
No,
number?
it's within the article.
Oh, it's in the article.
Yeah, sorry, it's in the
It's
article.
yeah, the watch and refer to medical.
There you go.
Yeah,
that
there
one
we go.
works too.
Gotcha. gosh, I hate Facebook Reels so much.
Yeah, I know. Why does Facebook do that? It's so bizarre.
Philosophical choice that has been made to have the state fund abortion through medical assistance. And it was a philosophical choice by a bipartisan group of people back years ago that started it, and I think it was a very good thing to say. It is a philosophical choice that has...
Okay, well, anyhow, he's referring to the medical assistance program funding abortion. I want to make one other note, Jesse, because I didn't think of this during the pre-show, and then we'll get into what Plechash said. But I'm going through the budget from before. Oh, crap. What did I do with that? Did I delete that? Shoot. I was going to get into the price tag of this bill, which I believe is, here we go. The price tag of Health and Human Services is roughly $24 billion. So of a $66 billion, this is a third of government funding. Mm-hmm. At least, because the way that the projections go, they might have creeped into a different category. But at least, I'll just put this: I feel safe in saying this is at least a third of the entire government funding is captured in this bill. So if it's not just for the abortion funding and the Planned Parenthood funds, and it's not for the fact it's unconstitutional omnibus bill, it also grows government by $24 billion. So I shouldn't say grows government by $24 billion. It institutes $24 billion in spending, a third of the overall budget. What do you got, Dawson?
I have a question about omnibus bills specifically. So it's saying that they're unconstitutional, right? You have to vote on single...
Yeah, the Constitution in Article 4, Section 17 says all bills must be single subject, and that subject expressly written in the title.
So is the problem that they just want to pass so much that they have to cram it all into these things? So what would be the solution to assume that they have to focus on every single subject?
Individual bills, because then there's scrutiny, right?
Right.
So if you don't want to fund abortion, medical assistance is a separate bill from all these other things. Actually, this is a really good... I'm glad you brought up this point, Dawson, because most people don't follow this stuff. And so since we do, go back to the article and click on... You know what? You don't... I guess you don't. You just put... You go to the PDF, don't you, on the link. Cool. Dawson, just Google HF 2435. Google that, HF24. You know what? I take that back. Okay. Go to the article, because it'll say it here in the PDF. Very top of the article. Scroll down. You'll see the first link, first paragraph. Right there.
HF
Click on the HF2435, that one. And you're going to see right here, this is link in the PDF of the language, and you're going to see a bill for an act. Okay, so remember, Article 4, Section 17, all bills must be single subject, and that subject expressly written in the title. Okay, here we go. So this is a bill for an act relating to state government, modifying provisions related to health, finance, and policy, certain health licensing boards, pharmacy benefits, healthcare finance, the Office of Emergency Medical Services, child protection and welfare, early care and learning, and licensing and certification, establishing licensure for certified... You see how... I mean, even if you were going to make the arguments for healthcare, but then it goes into child protection and welfare and early care and learning. And so right there, just to kind of give this thing in some regards, a title, this is... Look how long it is, right? Yeah. And so it's clearly not single subject. And there's far worse than just that.
Right.
Like, there's literally a bill that's happened that's like the... What is it? The state act. It's the Omnibus Agricultural and Housing Finance bill. It's like, what do those have to do with each other? But you just read these things at the beginning of the bills, you could see, no, they're not single subject at all.
So then would the solution to that be, say they had to touch on every single subject in this case, would it be have them work more? Would you extend the length of...
No, isn't that the beauty?
I don't know.
No, that's the beauty of it. And this is why Republicans should be unified on it. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's in the party's platform, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's not only in the Constitution, it's in the Republican Party's platform. They can't possibly do all this stuff, right?
Right.
And they shouldn't do all this stuff. why is there a child care assistance program, which is actually funded in this, right? What does that have to do with health care? Child care assistance program. The government pays people to watch or pays people's child care while they go to work or they look for work. Why is that the role of government, right? You know, if it's too burdensome for families, stop taxing them, right? We should be able to have single subject bills. The question you pose is, how would they manage to do it? Well, I don't know if they can manage to do it with such a large government, hence why it should be small. And that's the design of our country, and that's certainly the design of our state, is not to have a government that's got its hands in every little thing. And so bills should be single subject because we shouldn't be covering 1,000 different programs and $24 billion. And oh, by the way, because government's that big and that large and so wide and vast, we are getting ripped off. Another fraud program came out on CARE 11. They did an investigation. And because we have this housing, like we pay for people's housing or housing search, how does it go? Whatever the program is. And no shocker, more in the Somali community, ripping off taxpayers again through fraudulent claims of helping people secure housing. Did you see that story?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I totally forgot to bring that up in the show today in the pre-show. But like another bit, and guess who did not find that fraud? Not the new fraud committee in the state house. Nope, they didn't find it. CARE 11 investigators found it. So it's like, why does a child care assistance program get ripped off? Feeding Our Future and all the other ones we're not checking out, and Medicaid services and all that kind of stuff, because government's too large. And you know, government's inefficient and government's not smart about this stuff. And this is what Republicans are supposed to believe, but they don't show it in the way they vote. And oh, by the way, if we don't tax people to pay for this large government, it stays in our hands where we have more money to take care of ourselves or give to charities to take care of our brothers and sisters. Or, you know, the Catholic Church, did you see this? Catholic Church is now lobbying government to pay for health care services of illegal immigrants. I'm like, well, why don't you pay for it, Catholic Church? Yeah. Don't make the taxpayers pay for it. And I'm all for that. If you want to do something with your money, you can go ahead and do it with your own money, right? Or the church's money. And that's the way it should be. But when government gets involved in it, it's not noble. These politicians act like they're walking around all noble. They're not noble. It's not noble to take one person's money and give it over here. And by the way, doing this is inefficient in itself, especially when it goes up to the feds, down through the state, and a lot of times goes to the county. What an idiotic way of spending money. It could just stay in the hands of the people where they spend it directly, and that could either be reducing taxes, tax credits, whatever it is, bigger deductions. I just say don't tax us in the first place. And people could just give to church and charity. Wouldn't that be great? So, sorry, that's a rant. Why do I even have to say this stuff anymore on this show? Like, I feel like this show shouldn't be about philosophy. People should understand this, and they're not following it. These Republicans, I'm sure at some point got their philosophy in economics from Milton Friedman. He was the foremost economist that Republicans loved and adored. And they ignore everything he said. Every part about Milton Friedman, they reject in how they vote. Yeah. All right, sorry, there's my rant for the day.
Yeah, well, and also, you know, to the point on these omnibus bills, too, that, you know, crooked politicians like to pretend like it is the only way possible to be able to legislate. I mean, all you have to do is look at some smaller red states to see that there are states that are able to more closely adhere to a single subject clause. So for Minnesota to pretend like it's just impossible, those are just phony liars that corrupt politicians, you know, that don't want you to know the truth and that obviously just want to be able to tuck in all kinds of crazy spending within massive bills that they hope that nobody ends up reading. But just to continue on with this article, MNGOP Chair Alex Plechash took a desperate swing at Action for Liberty to protect rhino legislators who vote for taxpayer funding of abortion. In an attempt to curry favor with the globalist rhino Emmer establishment, Plechash published a social media post and email attacking A4L for, quote, lying about abortion funding. Ironically, Plechash lies in his statement by suggesting that taxpayer funding of abortion is, quote, not because of any vote by Republicans, end quote. In recent history, the legislature has always passed taxpayer funding for abortions under the guise of medical assistance. It is not automatic due to Doe v. Gomez. Courts cannot compel a legislator to vote for abortion funding. Even Rhino Jim Nash has admitted on the floor, as we have shown. If GOP legislators would have refused to fund Planned Parenthood and abortions at large, it could certainly set up a fiery battle, but it would also be a rally cry that the conservative base would love. Instead, Plechash is covering up how abortion really gets funded. Plechash also cites the MCCL as some great leader of the pro-life movement. However, an MCCL lobbyist, Don Parker, begged Nathan Weissenberg, as senator, to not push a life at conception amendment on the Senate floor because it was, quote, too extreme. Dawson, if we could pull up the article and click the link on that, because it's a post directly from Senator Nathan Weissenberg.
Well, and Senator Weissenberg was on the show and told us this story.
Right.
So, yeah, 100%.
But just so people want to, if they want to see for themselves, they can see that Weissenberg said there, Don Parker, a lobbyist for MCCL, came to my office and begged me not to introduce life at conception. He said it was too extreme. As I believe life begins at conception and promised my constituents that I would fight for life, I offered life at conception. We must protect the unborn. Shame on the MCCL for lying to my constituents, my church, my family, my friends, and Minnesota. So this is the MCCL, the people who pretend like they are this big-time pro-life group. The issue that should be their main issue, they obviously don't care about. Maybe it's because they're a fake group. Only a fake pro-life group would be pushing for these types of things. MCCL, whose executive director is Rhino Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach's husband, covers up for rhinos who vote to fund abortion and is not a trustworthy source. Shouldn't the MNGOP be holding Rhino legislators accountable to the party platform instead of covering for them when real conservatives criticize the corruption? It seems obvious, but Plechash has now repeatedly attacked the base that he serves for as chair rather than representing their interests. MNGOP leadership should be instead more concerned and hostile with Rhino legislators who voted to fund abortion, or white dude for Kamala, Michael Broadcorp, who got tens of thousands of dollars from the party from Rhino David Hand as party chair.
Let's skip this next paragraph because we're going to get to that in this third section here, the Strib article.
Yep.
And, yeah, we got a lot to say about that.
House Rhinos just voted to fund abortion, but it is not too late. The Senate could vote against this bill or amend it, and since the bill will go through a conference committee, House representatives could change their vote to do the right thing. The bill was Democrat-led all the way through and should be defeated. Patriots can find and contact their legislators here. Action for Liberty will always stand for limited government and will never cover for the rhinos who vote for taxpayer-funded abortions. In our pursuit of truth, we may make some missteps, but we will never intentionally mislead you, as it seems Alex Plechash is doing. We will continue our fight to expose corruption and the evil, out-of-control, bloated government. And as people can see there, I list out all of the names of the 29 rhinos who voted for the abortion funding. This is a massive bill, and the fact that the Republicans went along with this, it shows that they are not willing to use their leverage and power at all, and they're just Democrat-like. Lisa Kamala Demuth is a total fraud. She is not a conservative. She's not a Republican. This whole legislation was a scam.
Okay.
And also what we can see, too, is Republicans and Democrats are praising this online. They're both saying how great it is that this bill passed. That shows you the uniparty is real, because the Democrats and the Republicans are both pushing the exact same narrative on a bill that funds abortion. So it tells you that the rhinos and the Democrats are really not that far apart, and that these rhinos are sometimes more aligned with the Democrats than they are with you, the conservative base.
God, I'm glad you brought that up. We should have had that ready to go. I'm just trying to find the tweet, but you're 100% right. The Minnesota House Republicans literally put out a tweet.
Right, and this is a bill that, as we have said, the majority of its members vote against. So why would the House Republicans be praising something that a majority of their representatives vote against, and the lies where they want to try to say that this bill didn't actually fund abortion? Well, then why did a majority of your membership vote against the bill? I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. It's because the bill funds abortion. It's because the bill funds Planned Parenthood.
A4 Dawson. Pull this up. This is a tweet from the Minnesota House Republicans, and it says, passed. House Republicans delivered a children and families budget bill with family. Can you look up the tweet from the Democrats real quick?
Yep.
Bill with family as our number one focus, except for ones that are pregnant. We cracked down on fraud, expanded access to child care, increased protections against child maltreatment, blocked new taxes. What does that have to do with this? What does blocked new taxes have to do with that bill? That's a ridiculous claim.
Is this the official
Yes.
GOP Twitter account? They
Well,
posted?
Minnesota House Republican account, which
Okay.
is an affiliate. Well, not affiliation. It's a political. No, is this a political party unit or is this just the caucus? It's associated with Republicans in the Minnesota House.
Okay. I was just surprised because these numbers are really freaking low for something I'd imagine is like a little bit more official.
Well, because
you know?
they're not. Their messaging's awful, so I don't think
true.
they get a lot of feed. But they are.
Well,
So
but even
what?
just one reply, that's
Yeah, I guess. Well, most people probably just don't trust them. I mean, I guess we could compare it to the Democrats.
I mean, yeah, their HRCC War Room is probably an account that's getting more attention.
I don't know,
because,
it's
they're
new.
always posting videos of the Republican Congress.
What do we have? The Democrat one?
I'm still going to send that to Dawson. But Dawson, I did send you an email previously. If you could pull that up, and we can see that Mary Franzen, one of the rhinos who voted for this bill, talking out of both sides of her mouth. Go ahead and take me off the screen so people can read this entire thing. She says, Minnesota Democrats have a razor-thin majority, one vote. This was obviously 4/30/2024, so this was last year when the Democrats had control.
In the Senate.
In the Senate, right, and in the House. But
Yeah, but they're referring. She's referring
to the Senate here. She says Minnesota Democrats have a razor-thin majority margin, one vote, and nothing stops the Democrats from moving forward. Every priority passes 34-33. Republicans always cater when in charge. Democrats just keep plowing forward. Well, what did Mary Franzen just do? She just catered to the Democrats, and they just passed abortion funding and Planned Parenthood funding.
Aren't you in charge? Don't you guys have the speaker? Isn't it a Republican speaker? Am I losing my mind here? I thought they had the Republican speaker.
Right, what's the
Aren't you
point?
in charge of the House?
Exactly. And so she's saying that, Republicans just cater. You're part of the problem,
You're
Mary
catering
Franzen.
to the
You're one of the
Democrats.
people that's catering to the Democrats. And Dawson, I also sent you a reply to that email. People can see that the Democrats are also praising this bill as well on their social media. They're also using basically the same points as the Republicans, trying to argue that this is some massive win. So they say, Dawson, are you able to pull that up yet?
yeah, here you go.
All right, yeah, there we go. So, as they say there, bill passed. We just passed the 2025 Health, Children, and Families budget while Trump and his Republican allies are working to cut care and services people rely on. We're putting Minnesotans' health and well-being first so that they can thrive regardless of their background, where they live, or how old they are. And then there are points here. Protected access to public health in the face of looming federal cuts. Delivered critical funding to support hospitals, EMS providers, and local pharmacies. Invested in childcare, early learning scholarships, and the early childhood workforce. Modernized an outdated child welfare IT system. Strengthen efforts to fight food insecurity. So obviously,
It's the uniparty. It's the uniparty
and also
right
it's
there.
clearly a multi-subject bill.
Yeah, I know.
They're listing out all these things. The Republicans are listing out some different things too, and it just shows that this is a uniparty when they're both using the exact same thing, saying this is a great bill, this is a massive win, and if you've got Democrats all on board with a plan, it tells you the plan's no good.
Right.
The fact that every single Republican, every single Democrat except one voted for this bill, it tells you that, oh boy, what's in that thing? Because that if the Democrats are signing on to it, it's radical. It's crazy.
Finke signed on to this bill.
Right.
Lee Finke. You guys
Right.
are agreeing with Lee Finke on how the whole state should invest in health care
That's a
and
great
human
point.
services, to be honest with you, because this, I call it the HHS Omnibus bill, and they don't. But it is because you have human services parts to it. It's a joke. Why is the child care not in the other bill?
Right.
But yes, Lee Finke.
Yeah.
You guys agree with Lee Finke.
Yeah.
Good job.
Right, exactly.
Congratulations.
And at the beginning of the session, we were saying, oh, look, Harry Niska's fighting. Harry Niska's doing this and this. I was having a little bit higher expectations than I normally would for a politician for him. And he has totally dropped the ball. He's voting with all this crap too. So Harry Niska, Rhino Ron Krisha, Lisa Kamala Demuth, they are all the same as Lee Finke when it comes to abortion funding.
Chris Finke. Tucker, good catch. Sorry. Chris Finke. Why
Yeah.
do you have to be called Lee? I thought
Let's just stick to
gender is a
Stinky
social
Finke.
construct. Okay, let's go to the next segment. This is brought to you by Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, give Warren a call. Warren is someone who's got your back, unlike GOP chair Alex. What'd you call him? Ashrash?
Ashrash.
Honest to God, I didn't know. You have some good insights, Jesse. We were talking about this. Is it all right to kind of bring this up?
Yeah.
About okay. So, your thinking on why Plechash was an asshole to you. That's kind of what set the tone. Like the first time he met with you, he acted like you were a nobody, right?
Yep.
And
And he was lying. He was saying, Neil Shaw is going to be violating the endorsement. He's going to be running in the primary. He was telling me all of this stuff as if he knew it for a fact, and was treating me as if I was a liar for saying that no, Neil Shaw plans on abiding by the endorsement. So there was that, and a couple of other things where he was trying to defend Liz Cheney and whatnot, where I just said, okay, this guy is we're obviously not of the same breed. And yeah, it was basically just him trying to put me in my place and thinking that I'm some nobody that you can just push around.
You had that impression. I didn't know him. I don't just assume your impressions are always correct. Maybe I'm learning here, Jesse. You seem to have been reading Walter Hudson.
Yeah.
So we had him on the show. I thought it was a good conversation. He ate severe crow on his vote on Otter Tail County. He looked like a doofus on it, but he seemed to be in good spirits, good-hearted about it. And I honestly had a decent relationship or good rapport with him up until that moron decided he was going to release a statement on condemning Action for Liberty at the behest of Bobby Benson, Tom Emmer's chief of staff. And then, basically moved against Otter Tail County, although he wasn't even there for the vote, which he seems to be missing a lot of votes or abstaining. But then I'm on a phone call with them, and it was so awful. The things that he was saying was just so pathetic and such a lie that I just called him out. And I said, "You're so full of shit. I'm done talking to you unless you want to make a public statement retracting what you said. But you know what? We're going." And I said to him, I go, you told us something very interesting, and we're going to make that public now because there's no trust that we have with you, Alex. And what that thing was is. The party was holding on information that the former chair was funding a Harris Wall social media influencer, and they were secret about it. And it was some made-up LLC out of Wyoming that disguised who Michael Broadcorp was. That story came out because of us.
And Plechash would have never told you otherwise.
A lot of these things come out because of the work on the show, the work of Action for Liberty, trying to expose fraud, let it see the day of light, and then maybe we could just get a difference. Well, Plechash then goes on to do this ridiculous letter, and, we know he's lying, okay? So I don't think this guy's any good. Now, I texted him, well, maybe I'll just read the text to you because I think it's fair. I wrote to him yesterday at 1:41, I think your statement on Saturday shows you have absolutely no idea what you are talking about. We will be discussing it and how the GOP House supported HHS Omnibus bill does indeed fund abortions and Planned Parenthood. In the interest of allowing the other side, you are welcome to come on the show tomorrow at 1 p.m. to defend. Let me know in person or via Zoom, both work. Okay. Now, I didn't expect to get a call back or anything from him yesterday because obviously very busy with the Lincoln Reagan dinner. However, no response today. Listen, you can come on anytime, Alex, or I'll come on your platform. But let's actually have a conversation. Man to man, Alex, man to man. You're a man of integrity, aren't you? You're a man of integrity. You just want to get to the truth. Let's read Alex's attack on Action for Liberty. This is on Twitter, or X. I'll never get over it. You tweet on X?
Yeah, it's
All right. Click on, there you go. Not the tweet. Click on the actual letter, okay? It reads, Dear friends, and this goes out to all Republicans in the state. Dear friends, many of you reading this may feel aligned with the values that Action for Liberty claims to represent. Limited government, individual liberty, and accountability. So you think we don't actually believe those things? Like, that's what you think? No, you don't possibly believe that, right? The assertion that we claim to represent those things. Of course we represent those things. Right. I don't run Action for Liberty anymore.
Those are the things that the Republicans claim to represent.
Right.
Then they end up funding all of the abortion and whatnot, that they vote for these big government omnibus bills. So, I mean, it's just total gaslighting. It's, calling someone what you're guilty of.
Yeah, find one time where we're arguing for them to vote a Democrat bill in. We can find you one. We just talked about it, right? So find us a time where we're actually pushing the Democrats' bills. Okay. Those are core principles of our Republican Party, and I understand the frustration when government grows too large or when elected leaders face difficult compromises. Oh, well, that's an interesting admission right there, isn't it?
He understands the frustration.
The frustration,
what a
yes.
joke.
Maybe that's why Action for Liberty calls them out. They compromise all the time. All the time. Maybe people give up their time and resources to the party or to candidates because they think they're not going to compromise. They're actually going to stand on something, but they never do.
This is all under the impression that all of these Republican representatives are trying their best to get conservative policies elected. That's obviously not true. If these Republicans were actually doing that, it'd be a completely different story. If they were all good faith people who were trying to push conservative policies, that would be one thing. But they're not trying to do that. They are not trying to shrink the government. And, they're willing to compromise before negotiations even start. So Plechash already is off to a horrible start. Any conservative that reads those first two sentences is going to realize, oh, this is an establishment hack trying to sell me on something.
Yeah, and they kind of do. Every time they try making these statements, they're so bad at messaging that they end up, that's how what people see out of
right.
it.
We get more support the more that this happens. I mean, the rhinos would be best if they just kept their mouths shut about Action for Liberty, because when they put out statements like this, people go and research the truth. And when they find out that Action for Liberty was telling the truth the whole time, they don't respect Alex Plechash at all.
Right.
So Alex Plechash is hurting himself. He's losing more and more of his own support. And, it's clear that these statements are doing the opposite effect of what they want to do to Action for Liberty.
K-Wall says the Minnesota Republican Party represents who exactly nowadays? We'll get into that in the next segment. But what's at stake here is bigger than politics. This week, Action for Liberty falsely accused Republican legislators of voting to fund abortions. That claim is not only false, it's shameful. It's not false. And as we showed you, multiple Republican legislators, the ones you're supposedly defending, even stated that it funds abortion. Fortunately, the Minnesota Citizens Concern for Life, MCCL, a respected leader in the pro-life movement, issued a strong public letter correcting the record and defending our Republican legislators. Yes, that's what they do. Provide cover for Republican legislators who vote to fund abortion. That's a scam. Now, I'll get into a little bit about MCCL, but and I haven't seen this letter. As MCCL explained clearly, taxpayer-funded abortion in Minnesota is a result of a 1995 Minnesota Supreme Court ruling, Doe v. Gomez, not because of any vote by Republicans. The bill in question had no impact on that reality, and Republicans had no opportunity to change it. Action for Liberty knows this. What we know is that medical assistance, which is in that omnibus bill, funds abortion. Now, if they were to pass an amendment that said it can't go towards abortion, the court weighed in on that. But guess what the court can't do? They can't tell a legislator to vote for something. So if you're against abortion, you should vote against this bill because it funds medical assistance, which takes money and gives it to abortion. I like to make this example. Imagine the medical assistance program rounded up Jewish people and killed them. Put them in concentration camps and killed them, right? You wouldn't get into these nuanced arguments, would you? You would say, hey, this bill, just in a crazy world, the Supreme Court said, yeah, that's fine, right? They can round up Jews and kill them. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't hide behind the Supreme Court. You would do everything you can to stop that bill.
Right.
But because you guys really aren't that pro-life, you're not really, you're not understanding the argument here. Or actually, you do understand the argument. You for convenience, you're not understanding the argument.
You wouldn't say, well, the human services budget's in here, and we really need to pass it, Jake. If there was if there was killing of Jews, they would say, obviously that is a red line, but obviously abortion is not that red line for these Republican legislators.
It doesn't even have to be Jewish people. What if the medical assistance program funded the slaughter of innocent little puppies?
Yeah.
And this was uncovered. They would still go, oh my God, we cannot. I don't care if the Supreme Court said medical assistance program has to fund the slaughter of puppies. We're not going to fund this program because it goes to that. Why is it any different on abortion? Is abortion murder or not? But you're not really that pro-life, are you? You're just really here as a, Republican establishment front. Yet they chose to lie. This is about us. This is what Plechash is saying. Yet they chose to lie, not to hold Democrats accountable, but to attack our own. I'm pretty sure we also hold Democrats accountable, but the Democrats are pro-choice. They like this stuff. They're big government. They like this stuff. We're going after the people that lied and say they are against this stuff and voted for it. To those who sympathize with Action for Liberty's stated goals, I ask you this. Has politics become so important that you're willing to set aside basic human decency? are false accusations and questioning the integrity of Republican legislators, especially on an issue as sacred as life. Okay, this is why I said to him on the show, you are so full of shit. Listen to this guy. Listen to the mentality of this guy. Yeah. First of all, he's not a policy wonk. He has no idea what he's talking about right now. You are so wrong on this issue. And if I'm wrong on it, you have a platform, or I'll come on your platform and talk about it. But guess what? You're not going to do that because you're wrong on this issue. And I don't know. Is he lying, Dawson? I'm confused here. He might be too dumb to know.
Well, and if he's relying on the MCCL, and I mean, right. But those lines right there are so insane to say that, how dare you question the integrity of the Republican legislators who just voted to fund abortion?
What about the ones that didn't vote for it?
That, he's saying that it's, if you attack the Republicans who voted to fund abortion, you are setting aside basic human decency. Really? Wouldn't abortion be setting aside basic human decency more than attacking the Republicans who voted for it? Alex Plechash is he's a scam artist. He's lying to people on this, and he's trying to give the impression that and also he's doing the Team Red Kool-Aid stuff by saying that Republicans cannot be criticized. He's trying to say that all of these incumbent legislators should not be allowed to be criticized by outside groups like Action for Liberty. That is insane.
I did not get the vibe. I did not get this kind of vibe from him when he was on our show the last time.
Correct.
Which is really surprising me because when we met him, it was like he's actually like he's apologizing for the mistakes that he made, however bad they were. Like he's accountable. That's kind of nice. But then the second, is it the position that's giving him this?
This seems to be okay. So what's behind this? Action for Liberty was so influential. This is my read on it, okay? I don't run Action for Liberty. I'm aware of what they do. But my read on this kind of from quasi on the outside is Action for Liberty was very effective recently in bringing up this important issue, and it got so much heat on these Republican legislators that Alex was being pressured to put this out.
Yeah.
So this is really Alex. He's kind of dumb and he's very weak. He really is. And he doesn't think he is, right? He thinks he's smart, and he thinks he is actually a strong, principled guy. He's not. He's clearly not.
He thinks he's being nuanced.
This almost seems like a gun is to your head. It's really interesting. And we'll get this next segment. Like Tom Emmer's trying to ruin the Republican Party of Minnesota, and never a bad statement about Tom Emmer. Never a bad statement about even Michael Broadcorp. It's only bad statements about Action for Liberty, the one group that's calling out the bullshit and could have been allied with you. Like, if you just want to be honest with the people, we're there with you. But you don't. You want to say this shit.
Right.
Once again, he can come on and defend this position. Okay? That offer's up to him. I don't think he's going to do it, but it's there.
Yeah, but people like him think that if you move to the left, you're going to be winning over more independents and more moderates and whatnot. But really what you're doing is you're abandoning the conservative base. The conservative base is not going to be voting for a Republican Party that doesn't fight for them. If Republican or if conservatives feel as if their interests are not being represented by the Republican Party or by the candidates, why would you expect them to come out and vote for you? So if Alex Plechash wants to play this game, he's going to continue the failures of Republicans in this state. If you want to be able to unite, you're going to have to be able to unite with the most conservative elements of your party.
Which is why we said in the last episode the MNGOP is effing this up, because that's the way we see it. Okay, now Dawson, go back to that tweet real quick.
Yeah. Just a super quick question. What's this guy's job? Is he like a representative of people, or is he
he runs the party apparatus. There's two major parties. He runs the apparatus of the state Republican Party.
Okay. Got it.
Go back to that tweet. You see on the side they actually hyperlink to MCCL, their Twitter account, X account, sorry. Okay. So they're actually promoting this outside group, right? Nonpartisan outside group. Okay, that's interesting. All right, let's go into the B2, Dawson. Now, this is actually why when I was leading Action for Liberty, this is why I started talking about it. I saw an article by MCCL that said tax-funded abortions in Minnesota hit an all-time high. This is from March 25th of 2021. I think this is the first time I probably knew about this program, but this is when I really got interested in exposing it, because I noticed, wow, that's interesting. Oh, you know what? I did this before. I think maybe there was one in 2017. I just quickly did a Google search. Okay. disregard it. They've probably done these articles many times, but they talked about how tax-funded abortions in Minnesota hit an all-time high. I want to say it was like 2017 when I first looked this story up, or why that is. I was like, well, this is interesting. Why are abortions, or how are these abortions funded? This is MCCL. They're calling out. And nowhere in their article did they actually mention how this is funded. And so I was like, well, let me research. And I find out it's funded through the Medical Assistance Program, which got, in that year, 100% support by Senate Republicans. I'm pretty sure I got 2017 right. In fact, that year, I think it was SF 67. No, I got the number wrong on that. It was 67 senators that voted for it. Like, all senators voted for the Health and Human Services Omnibus bill. The one omnibus bill that covers all of welfare and health care, the thing that the Republican and Democrats were supposedly night and day different on, was funded by all 67 senators. Like, oh my God, we got a problem. You want to talk about a uniparty? They all agree on that. And in there is the medical assistance program. We go, well, that's interesting. MCCL acknowledges that there's more abortion funding than ever before, but where the heck was it? Becky X says, wasn't it SF1? I think that's correct. Yeah, it probably is SF1. But they know it exists, but they don't follow the crumb trails. Why don't you follow the crumb trails? Well, maybe you don't really care about getting to the bottom of the story. Okay, so this is a group run by Scott Fishbach, who is the husband of Michelle Fishbach, the rhino that they're protecting in CD7. Go ahead and pull up the B3, Dawson. This is Alex Plechash. What's the date on here? March 19th of this year. Now think about this. This is a new election cycle. People will go to caucus next year, and they will become delegates, and eventually they want to determine who they want to endorse as the Republican for office. And Alex Plechash releases a statement. The Republican Party of Minnesota proudly supports Representative Fishbach in her re-election campaign and looks forward to her continued work fighting for the Minnesota values in Congress. Minnesotans are fortunate to have Representative Fishbach's steady leadership in Washington. Why the hell is Alex Plechash endorsing a congresswoman pre-actual party endorsement?
Well,
that's tilting the scales in her favor.
It's not even like it's just a personal endorsement. He's doing it on behalf of the Republican Party of Minnesota. That's totally not allowed. It's ridiculous, and it shows why he's so close with the MCCL then, because if he's protecting Fishbach and putting out this statement, but it makes us question, well, what is going to happen at the next CD7 endorsing convention? Is Plechash going to go there and say that it can't even happen? You're not allowed to be able to vote on that the delegates can't have a say because the Republican Party has already decided that Michelle Fishbach
we don't need delegates. We don't need the people.
What's the point of having
the people?
Why have a convention at all if you've got Alex Plechash who's just going to decide that the incumbents are all fine enough?
Yeah.
All of the incumbents are good enough, according to Plechash, so don't even question it. Don't try to challenge anybody. All you can do is just vote for the Republicans.
Why don't you just award Mitt Romney all the Willard Romney, what is it?
Yeah,
Willard Romney. Give him all the primary votes from Minnesota. Just award it to him.
Yeah.
Why do we need to show up? You should, whoever you want to run in CD2, just give them the endorsement ahead of time. Guys, stay at home. Don't worry about caucusing. Alex Plechash is going to figure out who to support pre-endorsement. What a joke. What a joke. Okay. Let's go to, and some of you guys who've been watching the show for a while have seen this before. In 2022, in a contentious political year, MCCL, no, I'm sorry, this is 2024. This isn't 2022. What am I talking about? This was just this last election cycle. Let me see if I got that right. Yes, last election cycle. They hired Michelle Tafoya, who is pro-choice, to basically sell out on the Republican or the pro-life movement. She basically says that people need to make tough decisions when it comes to their health care, alluding to some people need to have abortions. This is from the supposed leading pro-life group in Minnesota, and they ran this as a network TV commercial and cable ads. Go ahead, run this.
I've been in the media long enough to know a spin cycle when I see one. Democrats are running ads saying Republicans will ban abortions. Really? I know sometimes women have to make difficult decisions, but I also know Minnesotans want reasonable abortion laws. The truth is, the state Supreme Court has already ruled. any abortion ban would immediately be declared unconstitutional, period. So when the Dems say there's going to be a ban, they're lying to you.
That's a pro-life group that put that out. It's unbelievable that they spent donor money to put out a commercial selling out on your cause. Like, oh, sometimes women need to make those decisions. Sometimes they need to abort their baby. Okay? Very moderate position, right? I just want people to understand this is a group that's supposedly the leading voice, according to Alex Plechash, on the pro-life movement. What were you going to say?
Well, and, I think the first part of her commercial there is actually pretty funny and even kind of true when she says, Republicans are going to ban abortion. Really?
Yeah.
Because it's true that, I mean, look at the state house. These Republicans are going to defund abortion or try to get rid of abortion. Really? Of course not. So, she actually does kind of have a point that, a lot of these Republicans don't actually believe what they claim to. And I have to wonder with that commercial if it actually did flip any voters or if it just made the base upset. I'd think that it just made the conservative base more upset at Michelle Tafoya and MCCL more than it did flipping any kind of moderate or liberal voter. And people need to keep in mind that Michelle Tafoya is obviously, it's looking like she's planning a U.S. Senate run. So I'm sure that will, that commercial and plenty of other things will probably be highlighted again in the future. But yeah, I mean, the fact that came from MCCL, I could see, if that came from a moderate group, it would be one thing. This is a pro-life group. This is their issue. So it shows that they're frauds.
Think about this from like Action for Liberty's perspective, which if you had to label Action for Liberty as the most important issue that they fight is emergency powers by a governor, right? Never again bill stopping that. Imagine Action for Liberty came out with a commercial, and apparently Michelle Tafoya is hireable. She goes, I know the Democrats are saying Republicans want to end unilateral emergency powers by governors, but that's just talk. Those are just lies.
Yeah.
Sometimes governors need to make those tough decisions.
Right.
They're not, and the courts will side with them. We know that's not on the ballot here. Like, yes, it is. That is exactly what we want. Why would we sell our people out on that issue? What does Andy have to say? Why is Michelle even relevant? Well, she was on NBC News, Andy. Like, she's a quasi celeb. Yeah. She probably, I don't know her. I don't think I've ever met her.
People definitely
probably
know
nice
who
person.
she is. I mean,
disagree on that issue. Shouldn't be hired by a pro-life group.
Right. I mean, people definitely. What was she? SportsCenter or ESPN? Whichever one she was. I mean, people definitely know
NBC.
her.
She was NBC News or NBC Sports.
Okay. But regardless, she, obviously she's got some name recognition. She's been out there for quite a bit. People were saying she was going to be Kendall Qualls' lieutenant governor. But Qualls wasn't even willing to admit that to the body of the delegation in 2022 when he was running. He was just going to try to sneak that in after the fact. So we'll just have to see and follow how that ends up going.
Okay, now here's a story you probably have never heard about MCCL. This is very interesting. Now, listen, I hear MCCL trashes Action for Liberty all the time, so this is all fair, right? All's fair in love and war. But listen, I do think it's important for people to understand. People call Action for Liberty scam fraud group. I'm pretty sure Action for Liberty raises money telling their donors exactly what they're going to do, and it's just not kosher to the Republican establishment because they don't like it. But they don't lie about what they're doing. Here is a very interesting story, and I don't know how MCCL looks good in this. This is a Star Tribune reporting on a story that they had written or talked about before. Minnesota group opposed to abortion loses battle to collect $842,000 from man's estate. Saying he was inspired by the March for Life, a rally against abortion held at the Minnesota State Capitol every January, a Minnesota man gave nearly $850,000 to Minnesota citizens concerned for life. His son stopped payment after his father's death, saying his father had not been of sound mind. Okay, get ready for it. It's interesting how they wrote that. Just death, not a sound mind. Here's the nugget that's important. A leading group in Minnesota that opposes abortion has lost its battle in court for a donation of nearly. I'm sorry. Oh God, I'm reading the version that's doesn't have the whatchamacallits on it, the ads. John Charles of Forest Lake made a gift of almost $850,000 in February 2022 to Minnesota Concerned Citizens for Life, MCCL, and its affiliated education fund, a gesture that emptied a family trust fund. The next day, ready for this? Charest died by suicide at age 81. His son, Nick Charest, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Charest, I don't know. Charais, of Bemidji stopped payment on the donation checks and said MCCL knew his father wasn't of sound mind when it accepted the money. The group sued the son last fall in Beltrami County District Court for the money. Last week, Judge John Melby sided with his son and dismissed MCCL's suit. Explain to me how MCCL looks good here. That just sounds evil, to be honest with you. Okay?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the idea that
what happened there was they took money from a guy who killed himself the very next day. And then when the family tried to retrieve that money back, they refused to give it.
Well, the money never exchanged hands. So this is even crazier, right? So they stopped the payment of the money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So now, for those that have actually done fundraising, first of all, if you are raising $850,000, you meet with that person. Okay. You get to know that person. If you have an inkling that that person's not of sound mind to give that money, you do not take that money. That is very problematic. That's very unethical. We're not in that meeting. We don't know, okay? But what we do know is the next day the guy commits suicide. Now, maybe MCCL at that point didn't know why the payment got stopped. I understand. That's a huge payday, $850,000. I think they're like $1 million a year organization. That's a huge, when you almost double the size of the organization. I understand that, okay? And you might not understand why it's stopped. But the guy, obviously, I assume you followed up on your new big donor, your biggest donor. It's got to be your biggest donor. And why that payment was stopped. And you found out he died, and you found out he died by suicide.
Right.
And then, because you didn't collect that money, and it rightfully was kept inside the family because he died by suicide, he's not of right sound in mind. You sue the family and pull them into court during that time of grieving?
Right.
Unbelievable. I don't know the argument. If someone's watching this and can make an argument how they sound good here, please do. That sounds just straight up evil for a pro-life group.
That one is pretty crazy.
Well,
What's that? Sorry, what's that?
I was just, that's pretty freaking crazy. Like,
100% it's bad. Andy, you've got experience fundraising. How terrible does that sound?
Yeah, and I see one comment here from One Baby For Me says, I called MCCL and asked them about Michelle Tafoya's ad. I asked if isn't Michelle promoting pro-choice with her language, and the answer was no. That's not what she was saying. So apparently MCCL is just denying it. Just like
we can see what they're doing there.
I mean, but that's the tactic of the establishment. Look what Alex Plechash is doing. Just lie. Just say the opposite of what's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Same thing with MCCL. And One Baby For Me also continues on saying the people need to stop sending money to the MCCL. They are the biggest scam. K-Wall for Life says, did that guy recently meet Bill or Hillary Clinton? You know, that's always one explanation for why these mysterious suicides end up
most
happening.
likely he was really in a depressed state of mind. That's what the family's arguing. And it's terrible. Here we go. Andy's done fundraising in the past. The argument would be that this happens a lot with children and wealthy. Yes, correct. MCCL has an obligation to protect and honor the donor's intent. Generally correct. In the circumstance here, the person commits suicide the next day. Like, you can't ignore that. Like, that is not of sound mind. The guy commits suicide. Like, someone that's willing to take. By the way, I think they're against suicide too, right?
Well, at least assisted suicide, right? Yeah.
So with that being said, because he's right. There are these issues where kids want to inherit daddy's money, and they're upset that daddy had some other idea or mom had some other idea with that money. That does come into play, and that's tricky as well. And I could see both sides of that. But when the person clearly is not of sound mind and does that, I just don't know a good argument for it.
And is giving away, his life savings essentially. But yeah, K-Wall for Life, a $20 Rumble rant. We appreciate that. K-Wall says, keep up the good work, team. We have your back. We appreciate it because, obviously the establishment is after A4L. And, it's because of the support of the people in the grassroots that keeps A4L moving.
One Baby For Me. Jake, remember that MCCL helped publish that bogus document created by Jennifer Carnahan ripping on MAGA Soda, Action for Liberty, and Minnesota gun rights. That's correct. You know what? I think I know who wrote One Baby For Me is. I'm not reading none of your comments unless you do a Rumble rant. I know who you are. God, it's so fun to watch some friends on here. I'm done reading your comments unless you hit us up with a Rumble rant. Then we're obligated to do it. Wink. Last article, just so you understand the history of the Republican Party on this issue. Go to the B6, Dawson, and this we obviously talked about. But under David Hann, They sent out a mass email in the election of 2022. It says, we gear up for the final stretch of election season. The Democrats and the media will continue to try and bait you with questions about issues, most particularly abortion. The state party and key stakeholders have developed and tested the following message, making this the official MNGOP statement response on abortion. If asked, the party recommends that you answer the question as follows. Here are the facts. Abortion up to the moment of birth is a protected constitutional right in Minnesota. It's not. What a lie.
Yeah.
The only two ways this can be changed are by the Minnesota Supreme Court overturning the existing law or by the Minnesota voters passing a state referendum. Since abortion is not on the ballot, let's talk about the ongoing issues that affect Minnesotans every day: crime, inflation, the economy, and education. You see there's a pattern of the Republican Party not only funding abortion, but selling out on the pro-life base that it has.
Yeah.
And
actually,
MCCL enables this behavior.
right.
And we're not, and Action for Liberty is not even a pro-life group per se, although I'm pretty sure everyone in leadership is pro-life. I'm certainly very pro-life. But isn't that interesting? Like, they are literally, this is supposedly the lead group on abortion.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And, I met with David Hand one time, and, he was having these open meetings across the state, and I printed off that email, and he was trying to pin it on Scott Jensen. He was trying to say that it was Scott Jensen's fault, and that, we were just trying to follow the governor candidate's messaging. So that was his excuse to try to get out of it. But David Hand said in that email that there is a constitutional right up to the moment of birth for abortion. And that's just totally insane for a Republican to be saying that.
Okay, let's get into this final segment. This is brought to you by John Galt Mortgage Company. Almost forgot. John Galt Mortgage Company. If you're looking to buy a home, give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage a chance at financing that home. You can go to johngaltmortgage.com, or you can check them out on Facebook or X. Great top-notch meme game. Great Patriots running that company. Go give them a chance at financing that home. Or if you know a friend, you got a friend or a family member that's buying a home, tell them, hey, give them a shot. They probably are going to give you the best rate. So give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage a chance. johngaltmortgage.com. Let's talk about, I like how you put strip article on there.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say something about that, too.
Strip article. That's the, you're not very political, but that's what we call Star Tribune.
Oh, sorry. I'm
not strip. No, don't worry about it.
I'm incompetent.
No, you're a step above, a couple steps above Alex Plechash, at least.
Why, thank you.
That's not saying anything, right? The Strip came out with an article yesterday. Let's just set the tone on this one. Dawson, go to my X account there. I think I quote tweeted, what's her name at the Strib? She wrote with Ryan Faircloth. I love how the Strib always refers to Action for Liberty as far right. Boy, they really got a thing going there. Keep going down. Right there. Okay. Sydney Kashiwaji. Okay. I think that's a female, Sydney.
I'd figure.
I think
I
so.
haven't seen the profile.
We'll click on the pro. No, never mind. The congressional, we'll just refer to them as they. The congressional delegation is refusing to help the party financially until it stops affiliation with Action for Liberty and gets rid of party officials they believe are too closely affiliated with the group. So in other words, Emmer's trying to extort the Republican Party here.
Well, and that's the thing. Someone like Dale, who's on the Action for Liberty board, he got elected. He got elected by the CD4 delegates. Tom Emmer and these other congressmen, they don't have any say in that. They don't have any right to be able to say, oh, you have to get rid of these officials that are too aligned with Action for Liberty. What do you mean? The delegates just voted him in. And same thing with CD7, Nathan Miller. It's another example where the delegates decided that's who they wanted to represent them. So for these people to be saying that you have to get rid of these people in the party, it sounds like communist China to be able to say that in North Korea to say that we all have to vote, we all have to be in line in a certain way, and nobody's allowed to question the status quo. Nobody's allowed to align themselves with Action for Liberty. I mean, these are the cancel culture leftist tactics that Tom Emmer is trying to employ.
Yeah, one might call him a globalist rhino for that, right? Yeah. Maybe we should call him Chinese Emmer, because that's like you can't participate in the party. That's what China would do. This is the article from Star Tribune. Republican congressional delegation skips Minnesota GOP's annual fundraiser amid internal tensions. This is Sydney and Ryan Faircloth. There's Mr. Global Rhino right there. Hundreds of conservatives across Minnesota gathered in Bloomington on Monday evening for one of the state Republican Party's biggest fundraising events of the year. But none of the state's highest-ranking Republicans attended the event amid disagreements with the direction the party is going under the leadership of its new chair, Alex Plechash, and executive director Jennifer DeJournette, who they believe are associated too closely with conservative grassroots factions of the party, several Republican sources told the Minnesota Star-Tribune. Just think about that. Tom Emmer is trying to extort the party by withholding funds because they're associated with the grassroots.
Well,
like,
you know,
oh my God, how terrible is that?
This is what Emmer's doing to Plechash. Imagine what he would do if it was an actual conservative, if it was an actual liberty chair, if it was someone who was actually fighting the establishment and holding the Republicans accountable. Because, you know, for the most part, Plechash is doing nothing but kissing his butt.
I don't get it.
And Emmer is still, you know, none of it's going to be enough for him.
I almost feel like Emmer is expecting Plechash to take a gun and shoot Action for Liberty people.
Yeah, something.
Like, what else does he have to do? He's already made an endorsement. Michelle Fischbach, you're like chosen one in CD7. You know, he did. He's written 2 letters condemning Action for Liberty. He didn't even attend the meeting that disenfranchised Otter Tail County delegates. What more do you need Plechash to do?
Yeah.
Kiss the ring? Is Plechash just not getting on his knees quite yet and kissing the ring? He's doing everything else. It's ridiculous. And this is how dumb Plechash is. Like, he's literally, like, you might as well just kiss Tom Emmer's ring. You know, you might as well just do it now. Get on both knees, Alex. What are you waiting for? You know, jeez, stop playing this supposed middle ground. You clearly ate Action for Liberty. We'll talk more about this in the post show. I mean, we know stuff. If you're not a member, by the way, let's go ahead and put this in the thread. If you're not a premium subscriber, $8 a month to our show, which helps fund our show. I'm going to click it here in our Rumble chat. Go ahead and become a... We'll get into some of the stuff, the things that we know from behind the scenes on the post show, okay? That's one of the benefits of being a premium subscriber. You get to hear things that, well, how do I put this? Aren't ready for public consumption yet, all right, so let's get back to this article. It's a stark contrast from last year when President Donald Trump headlined the fundraiser at the state's highest-ranking GOP. Tom Emmer, the number 3 Republican in the U.S. House, pledged to donate $100,000 to the party, which I think he did way more than that. I think the congressional folks want to see a strong party and want to see a party that they can work with, said former GOP Chair David Hand, who lost the leadership position at Plechash in December. It seems that they're not finding that in the current administration. Oh, okay, so to write this article, we go to the failed old MNGOP, clearly unbiased former chair. Like, give me a break. How does David Hand have any relevancy these days?
Yeah.
Okay. Plechash denied that there's friction. This is how dumb Plechash is, okay? Plechash denied that there's friction between the state party and congressional delegation, calling it simply false. Alex, you're lying. I know you're lying. I know you know this. We know about your meetings with Tom Emmer and the congressional delegation. Why are you lying? We'll get into that in the post show. Why are you lying? There is clearly friction. But if there's not friction, right? Like, then you clearly have picked a side because you trash an Action for Liberty and the grassroots. He said more than 400 people were expected to attend the party's Lincoln Reagan dinner on Monday night. That's not the sign of a party in disarray. That's the sign of a party on the rise, Plechash said in a written statement. He denied a request for an interview. Now, that does seem to be true. It does seem like there was 450 people there last night. In fairness to the party, it did seem like they turned out people. I'm a little shocked. I'll just be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm a little shocked they had that many people.
I'm sure there was some amount of, who knows what kind of effort was put into it to try to get people to buy those tickets and whatnot. I could imagine that maybe there were some phone calls and some sales and whatnot that were being made.
But even if they did that, that's impressive that they could get that many people.
And what's the name of the girl that just left the party? She was one of the fundraisers, Minji Kang, whatever the hell she is. Big time rhino, and so she.
Wait, how's Minji a rhino? How do you know that?
Well, I can't remember exactly. There was something I saw.
I don't think anyone has a problem with Minji. Seems like a good, honest worker.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm misremembering something. Then I'll have to go back and think. But regardless, the party totally is in disarray. He's losing people, and So, I am surprised too that many people showed up to go to that dinner.
Did you say that did the article say that he refused an interview with Star Tribune for this thing?
Yeah, I guess he just must have given
Holy
one
crap.
statement said simply false.
That must be the easiest job in the world. You don't have to go do any interviews. You just kind of say what people tell you to say, and that's it. You get paid.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to be a puppet,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Just do that. You know,
Do interviews, man. I was saying yesterday, you could get so many views on all your stuff if you just did stuff.
yeah.
Do it.
Republican sources say that congressional delegation is refusing to help the party financially until it stops its affiliation with Action for Liberty and gets rid of party officials they believe are too closely affiliated with the group. Action for Liberty is a far-right group that has antagonized GOP elected officials for years. You know what I mean? Antagonize. Listen to the bias in their reporting. Antagonize. I don't know. Call them out on their bullshit. Like, you know, hold them accountable. And far-right group. Far-right group, really? Do you know our views? Like, do you really think that? Is it far-right to just say, hey, maybe we should shrink government a little bit? You know, shrink it? Yeah, that's a far-right view. Oh, God. But it's actually interesting. This is 100% true. I mean, their sources are correct. This is what's going on. And I don't know what the affiliation is with Action for Liberty. They seem to hate us. They really do. I mean, we've talked to staff members. You know, they were cordial, but something's going awry. So, I mean, whatever. You guys can have Alex Plechash. I almost said something real bad. We'll just leave. He's a moron and seems to be not doing doesn't have his compass pointing in the right direction. Okay. If the party stops these affiliations, the delegation may step back in and support the party. If it doesn't, the party may be left to fend for itself, a time when it's already struggling financially, has two major pickup opportunities next year with Craig retiring C2 and Smith. Isn't that interesting? I mean, doesn't that just read as extortion? Like,
Yeah.
Tom Emmer won't help out the Republican Party unless I don't know what it is. Get rid of their affiliation. They've written letters condemning Action for Liberty. What else do you need him to do at this point? If they're just going to throw their hands up and say, we're going to destroy the party, well, then they're just going to burn the house down, and Minnesota is further down the road to hell than even I thought, said former Minnesota Republican Rep Jason Lewis, who said he also had to work with the various factions of the party during his tenure. The U.S. House is not in session Monday, but GOP Rep Pete Stauber and Michelle Fischbach both said they would not be in town for the fundraising dinner. Guess who was in town and who went to the Capitol yesterday? Tom Emmer. Like, that's just a complete slight against them. I almost think he did that on purpose. Let me show people I do have the day available to attend the Lincoln Reagan dinner, and I'm choosing not to, right? He wrote, I'm busy on that evening, so won't be able to do it, but I support the Republicans. This is Stauber. Emmer, I don't think, gave him a statement. It seems like Fischbach gets along just fine with the party because they're doing everything they can for her, but I guess she's being told what to do by Emmer. Quote, this is Jason Lewis again. If these people truly have other commitments that they can't get out of, that is one thing, Lewis said. If they're boycotting the party's fundraising dinner because they don't like all the factions associated with the party, I don't think that's leadership. Yep. It's fun to hear Jason Lewis go back to his old self and talk some truth. Can you find the picture of Emmer with the Heinzmans yesterday or with the delegation? You know where to find it?
I didn't even see it. So.
Oh, I thought we
wouldn't know
saw
where to
that in the
find it.
pre-show. Did we not find that in the pre-show?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. It's probably on their Twitter account, their X account. Dawson, just look at. Never mind. Screw it. Emmer doesn't win an MNGOP that's accountable to its base. Action for Liberty President Eric Mortensen said in a recent email to Star Tribune, Emmer prefers complete control over the MNGOP. Exactly. That's what they want. A monopoly power on center-right politics. They can't exist with Action for Liberty. Action for Liberty can exist with the Rhinos. I think they're bad, and I think they should be replaced. But we can exist. But they just want to remove it. I don't know what it is at this point. Do they want to like change the law to legally ban Action for Liberty to be part of the party? And you know what's interesting? Take away all the thousands of people that get involved in politics at Action for Liberty and encourage them to start a new party then. No, you won't do that. You don't want that to happen, do you? Here's the most interesting thing about all this, Jesse. Name one organization in the last 4 years that has mobilized and activated more conservatives to actually be a part of the political process and join Republican ranks than Action for Liberty. You can't name one, and it's not even close. So this is the people that they have a problem with because they want a monopoly on power. That's why. Yeah. Plechash invited individuals from Action for Liberty to attend Trump's inauguration in January, which is you an apparent peace offering, but the inauguration invite didn't stop Action for Liberty from attacking other Republicans. Yes, because when they act like Democrats, they're going to attack them. In March,
and why did they think it would? Right. Do they think that, we take Jesse to Washington, D.C., now he's not going to criticize Republicans anymore? No, I still believe the same thing from when I left. So, it's ridiculous. And I looked it up. This Minji King, I was obviously confusing her with someone else, but, she was also, she did work for the party under David Hand, too. So you have to wonder, I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but, like I would never be the fundraiser for David Hand. I know that.
Well, she wasn't the fundraiser.
Well, what was she doing?
Like executive assistant.
No, she's been a fundraiser for a little while here.
No, she's not a fundraiser.
Okay.
You're getting confused with somebody else. In March, Minnesota GOP Executive Committee member Bobby Benson, who's the state chief of staff for Emmer, brought forward a resolution to formally condemn Action for Liberty. When the state GOP Executive Committee passed Benson's resolution, Plechash made a point to say he abstained from the vote. Oh, you know what? Plechash told me on the phone? He goes, I was advised by at least 3 lawyers to abstain from that vote. I shouldn't even weigh in on it. I'm like, bullshit. That's what I said. You're full of shit. Whatever. They told you not to vote. I could see him saying, don't vote yes on it, but they didn't tell you to abstain. You could just vote no, because that's what you should have voted for. Weeks later, and by the way, he doesn't like Action for Liberty. Alex Plechash doesn't like Action for Liberty. There you go. He's not beholden to Action for Liberty. He's like crawling towards Emmer. Weeks later, Plechash struck a different tone. He said the party's official position on Action for Liberty is reflected in the resolution and that the party has a strong relationship with Minnesota GOP's member of Congress and their staff. No, you don't. That's not true. But you got to give a public image. So, you just don't want to be honest with people. We'll talk about more of that in the post show. Morrison believes Emmer is behind the resolution that was brought forward by his state chief of staff. Emmer's office did not return requests to respond to Action for Liberty's allegation. You can go read this yourself. It does say, this is funny, last year Action for Liberty rallied grassroots activists to oust Han and block Fishbach from winning the party's endorsement. That kind of goes against the idea that, Wednesday Walter says, well, you guys are irrelevant and not important. Important enough to get rid of the chair of the party and block an endorsement for a sitting Congress member? Sounds like Action for Liberty is very effective. Which one is it there, Wednesday Walter? All right. Plechash is just so pathetic. I just don't know how else to put it. He's so pathetic because he is so hated, and I'll share some of this in the post show, so hated by the delegation. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're just all still bitter that their puppet, David Hand, didn't get reelected. And it's not like Plechash was the Action for Liberty candidate. It just was, he was the other. And Han had to go. Han was bad. Han was corrupt. Han was secretly paying for a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz social media influencer by the name Michael Broadcorp, a real winner. That's very sarcastic, FYI. Mm-hmm. All right. This is what you'll get on this show. You won't hear this shit from anywhere else. Let's get into the post show. Guys, if you're not a subscriber, join us, help us out. Get this. This is what keeps us on air, okay? Because we're going to tell the world something that you won't get from anywhere else. No one's going to cover this, and no one has the behind-the-scenes view that we have. That we can, because we got political operatives here and guys that used to run organizations, and we're talking to people, so we know this kind of stuff. We know the inside workings, and we can read the political landscape. And so, this show is really counting on your support. So if you can go on Rumble, just click join us, or go to truthhurtsnews.com and click support us. Sign up to become a premium subscriber, so you're not only supporting our show, but you also get to participate in our post show where we'll read your comments, and it's fantastic. I think you will enjoy it. We got some Rumble rants today. First of all, our sponsors, Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, give Warren a call at 612-419-7453. If you're buying a home, go to the good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company. You can go to johngaltmortgage.com or check him out on Facebook or X. And we're also brought to you by Alpine Cabinetry in the great city of St. Cloud, Minnesota. I know we had a K-Wall Rumble rant. We had 2 from Brad Ganser and O'Bannon. Did I get that right? I think I nailed that on the
Sounds
head.
right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. K-Wall. Brad, and O'Bannon. You got it.
Okay, and I didn't guilt my friend who was going by one baby something. Oh, disc. Okay, become a premium subscriber. You'd be fun to have in the post show. Please help out the show. Go become a premium subscriber and frequent our advertisers. We'll be back on Thursday. We got this will be fun. We got governor candidate Philip Parrish on the show on Thursday.
Yep.
And I think I kind of remember this, but when his response, he was like, "Are you sure Jake wants me on the show?" We had some like, how did he?
I can't remember tension or something like
Tension or
that.
something?
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm gonna have to look up what the hell that was. I don't remember what that was.
You know, it's extra good when only one party remembers it, and it's like the first thing in their mind.
Well, you had him on in radio and whatnot, right?
Well, probably on our old podcast, Living Free podcast. I don't remember what it was. He was probably a hater at one point. I don't know how much I take Philip Parrish seriously, but I think it's good. Give people a chance to hear these people out, and if they're goofy, then they're gonna come out on the cameras goofy, or maybe we could be surprised, and they're very good. So Thursday he'll be here in studio. Is that correct? Okay,
yep.
so we have.
He ran against David Hand before, so that was the first time I had ever seen of him before was when he was running against David Hand. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes on Thursday.
All right, there you go. We'll try to get more interviews on the show too. I think it's worthy of noting. I guess we'll hear back from Alex Plechash. Maybe we won't. Maybe we will. Who knows? All right, post show in 1 minute. Everyone else will see you here on Thursday. Take care.